Welcome back. In this episode, we fire up the Fusion Reactor Mk3 and begin producing Neutronium, an essential endgame supermaterial. Then we construct the Rotary Hearth Furnace, a towering parallel processing powerhouse. This is Star Technology. Let's get into it. So the focus for this episode is the Fusion Reactor Computer Mk3. Well, at least the first... No, that's not actually true, is it? I really want to get Neutronium. Neutronium is what I want to unlock. And to get that, we're going to need to build the fusion reactor. So we already know from previous episodes that we're going to have to scan this. So we might as well get that started. Let's make a fusion reactor Mark II. Don't have one at the moment. In between videos, I did some small upgrades. What I mean by small is I duplicated the setup that we had here with the HPCAs. So now we have 4. And each one's producing 32 units of compute. So if we head downstairs and check out the fancy new housing that I built for the network switch. We go in here, check out what we've got. We have 128 units of compute, which is exactly what we need, I think, for everything we could possibly want to research. We're done with upgrading this now. Where's the way out? This way. The design I've got here is pretty much what I'd always envisaged. So even though we only built this one first and we added that one last episode, I always planned for there to be 4. I always knew there was going to be big flashing lights and stuff on them. So I tried to make this look sort of interesting. And anyway, the point is we can now scan this thing. So I just need that to finish. Didn't really think that through, did I? Okay, well, I'll wait for that to finish and then we can scan this. But in the meantime, we need to continue because there's plenty we still need to do. So it's probably worth looking at the components that we're going to need to make the fusion reactor. This is what the Fusion Reactor Mk3 looks like. Same shape that we've always had. The fusion machine casing Mk3s and UV energy hatches. That's really the only new things involved because there's fusion glass and all that. It requires the fusion coil blocks, which is good because we already have those. And the fusion machine casings look like this. So UV machine casing, fusion coil block, ultimate voltage coil, which we've recently unlocked, ZPM field generator, and americium plate. And we have quite a bit of all that stuff. We're going to use a lot of americium. So with that in mind, what I've actually done is upgraded some of our fusion reactors. So we originally had one here that was a Mark 1 still. So I've upgraded that to a Mark 2. And this one was making the lutetium. So that's now making that much quicker. This one was producing europium. We have enough europium now. I knew that we're going to be needing to use more americium. Our stocks of that are going up, which is not too bad. We're going to use this pretty quickly, I think. So we're not doing too bad. We've got, decent number of each of the things. We're going to go through them very quickly, especially the americium, because it is also used for making liquid neutronium at a 4:1 ratio. So that's going to require a lot of that. Fusion coil blocks and all those type of things, which are in hot demand in a lot of the things we need. They are made from superconducting coil blocks, as well as all these other things. Now that we have UV power, there's actually a better superconducting coil block recipe we can use. So as we know, we started off here using this LUV1, moved on to the ZPM one, but now we can go to the final one. So this has 8 of these enriched naquadratrinium europium duranide wire, which we unlocked last episode, as well as niobium titanium foil, which we used before, and liquid trinium, but it's just lesser quantities of each. So we should probably do this, but it requires a UV assembler. So that's going to necessitate doing a small upgrade in here. So I think that's what we'll start with. At the moment, we're using this recipe in here, which is using these 2 ZPM tier assemblers. So we basically want to just upgrade this. It's a bit of a mess behind there because of how the power is being shared. So what I might do is actually just place it here temporarily. It's going to stick out from the wall a little bit, but this is temporary, I guess. Ultimate assemblers aren't too bad. I actually stole 2 of them from over here because I decided we didn't need all 4 here rather than build a couple more. I guess I'll just place them like this. And it's filling up. It's very loud in here all of a sudden. Oops, somehow missed and went over there. So we have the new superconducting coil block recipe installed. Now we can basically make those fusion coil blocks much more efficiently, which is great. The Fusion Reactor Mark II finished being built. So let's scan it. Put that in there. That's not going to work because I forgot one step, which is that this needs to be upgraded to be UV. We need UV 4 amp energy hatch and a UV energy converter. So let's get rid of this. Get rid of the cable, got hatch out, put in the new hatch, drop that in, a bit of prismarine wire. That should do it. So this should now be UV. Same speed as before because we've gone down from a 16 amp to a 4 amp of the next tier up. But now we should be able to scan this. Well, that was anticlimactic. Why is that not scanning? Okay. I mean, that has power. The compute is hooked up, right? I did do a lot of tweaking of this, so maybe it's not working. The cable is connected, right? Did I use the wrong kind of hatch? Data transmission hatch. Reception, 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 transmission. Why is that not working? This has power, right? No. Why does that not have power? Okay, I think I must have moved this. The output on the side's wrong. There we go. Okay. Minor teething issues. It's always something. Let's scan the Fusion Reactor Mk3. That's better. So once we have that, what are we doing with it? We're going to want to build this recipe. So let's encode that recipe. That is definitely wrong. I remember it being 4. Yeah, okay. So that's 4. Also, I'm noticing that we don't have that because that's not the UV circuit. That's a UHV circuit. So that's another little side quest we've got to do, but I don't think it's going to be too bad. All right, let's clear that data module. That is everything we need. Let me just check those other numbers, just make sure we're not going crazy here. Be nice if that tooltip wasn't so big. I think everything else is correct. Let's encode that recipe. Now, UHV circuits. How do we make those? So that's the recipe. And from the look of it, I believe we have everything there. So we just need to scan it. What are we scanning? We're scanning the previous tier of circuit. We need one of those UV circuits. Just one will do. How's my Fusion Reactor Mk3 doing? Oh, it's done. Nice. Just waiting on that circuit. So this is the recipe here. So it's 96 compute in a UV research station. So we couldn't do that before just now. What else uses the UHV circuit? UHV stuff. That sort of makes sense. Ah, super parallel control hatch. That's exciting. Let's mark that. Come back to that. Lots of things in the assembly line. Stargate component assembly. All right, cool. That must be done by now. Come on. Yttrium barium cuprate ingot. Where's that made? Why is that taking so long? Oh, I reckon maybe this thing is overloaded again. Yeah, it's got too much to deal with. Oh, there we go. Let's go scan this thing. So I'll pop that in there. Scanning away. Now I need to encode that recipe. That there. That's a lot of parts. So it's not going to be quick to make these. Take the data module out. Everything else is there. That's good. We can take a trip to the assembly lines and set that up, and then we can start making those fusion reactors once this guy's ready. Almost there. Once we have that Fusion Reactor Computer Mk3, we're going to need these fusion casings. So can we start making them? Did I encode that recipe? No. Well, there's another trip downstairs. Is that almost ready? Yeah, I'll just wait for this to finish, then I'll encode that other thing. Sort of doing this in the wrong order. I should have started crafting those casings a little while ago. All right, there we go. Requires a clean room. UV assembler, okay. Encode that. Put this into this one here. Let's try making one of those. And while that's trying to make that as a test, I will set this up. Put those two guys in there. So I think they're both UV. That finished, okay, good. So I'll have to put it into here. And that one. So let's try making one of those main frames. Yep, that looks all good. So I started this playthrough of Star Technology on an earlier version, like a beta version, and that only goes up to UHV, I'm pretty sure. Like I don't think there's any technology tiers beyond that in the game at that point. So this is actually the most advanced circuit we can make. That's consuming a lot of power. 1.2 million EUs per tick. So, oh, cool, excellent, that works. That means we should be able to craft the Fusion Reactor Mk3. Everything is there, excellent. That's going to take a little while. Lots of parts. Oh, this is working away. I'll let that go. Now, the next fusion reactor I'm going to build is up here. I've already started to create sort of the area where it's going to go. But I'll build that off camera because you've seen me build one of these before. There's not really anything special. But we do need to make more of these fusion casings for the Mark III. Where has that gone? All right, so let's make 64 of those. Yep, cool. So I guess at this point, all we can really do is wait. I need to wait for the fusion machine casing Mark IIIs to be finished, as well as that fusion reactor computer. I don't really think I can do anything else at this point. Fusion reactor computer Mark III is done. No fanfare? What? Okay. Oh, I need one of these circuits first. A first UHV circuit. So I can actually put this in place because this is going to go right here. But I'll wait for the other circuit to be done. That way I'll get the quest. I'll let some of that stuff finish and come back. All right, that UHV tier circuit finished finally. Achieved that quest, but I still can't get the fusion reactor computer Mark III because of these ones here. So I just have to craft a few of those. Geranium ingot. Done. And one of those. Cool, and there we go. Both those quests. Excellent. Let's tick all those off. I think I can probably start constructing the fusion reactor. There's a few parts that are still coming through, but I can start making the shape. I'll do that, and when I come back, we'll have a fusion reactor Mark III. And there we go. The fusion reactor Mark III is online and about to start heating up. Let's give it some ingredients. So we're looking for liquid americium and liquid nequadria. Americium in this one. Nice. And nequadria in this one. I just need to put a crafting card in there to craft it. And then we should start making neutronium. Now, what I might do is actually just turn this off just temporarily because I just realized I don't have a place for the neutronium to go. I wanted to add it here on the wall, but we've run out of space. Let's go over here. Looks like there's a space here. Put that in there. Storage bus, pop that on there. Liquid neutronium. And say bidirectional. Just need to allow input from the output side. And then let's turn this guy back on. So we should have some in the system now. Just make sure it's appearing in the right spot. There we go. That is going to take a long time to get anywhere with that. 16 millibuckets every 5 seconds. But this is the start, right? Now that we've got the fusion reactor computer Mark III, I can go through and upgrade the ones which are most essential to making neutronium. So I'm thinking probably the 2 americium ones, and then I can probably borrow one of the others and then upgrade that. In either case, we're going to need more than just one neutronium fusion reactor. I'm just going to set up a limiter I don't think we're ever going to get to the stage where it's going to fill up, but just for consistency, let's do that. So we want neutronium, and let's just say 2,000 buckets. Be lucky if we get to that, to be honest, because we're going to be using it a lot. Don't think there's a way we can make this run any faster, aside from just building more of these. Let's see about encoding a recipe or two for making some neutronium ingots or something like that. Because that is a thing that we can tick off, and then we can actually do this. But let's encode a recipe for the neutronium ingots first. So that would be in a fluid solidifier somewhere. That one probably. Right, do we have enough to craft one ingot? Yes, we do. Okay, let's do that. Let's grab the ingot. And now we have neutronium. Brilliant. Okay. Next question is, what are we going to do with it first? So the super parallel control hatch, I don't really care too much about that at this point, even though I was talking about it earlier. What I do need to do, this would be nice to have. How much neutronium goes into this? 4 ingots to make one of those. What does that give us? 96 actual wafers. And then those wafers give us quite high yields of these. Okay, that might be worth doing. Not at the moment, because one thing that I definitely want to do is look at these hearth furnaces. I like the idea of it. It's a huge block. I think it'll look amazing. I want to build one. And so we couldn't do that because we didn't have that special wire. Where is it? This one. Ruthenium, trinium, americium, neutronate. That's a mouthful. Titanium coil. Ah, okay. I need to go away and figure out what I'm going to do about that, because I don't really want to upgrade all those guys over there with the titanium yet. How much is in here? 42. I know we got 16. 26. I could do that. Let's do it. So I'll upgrade this. I think this might already have neon hooked up, does it? No. Okay, I'll have to upgrade that to a non-upple hatch. Make one of these. Then I can put neon in there. Let's take this one out. Then I'll upgrade that and I'll set up a recipe. Let's do that now. We don't need much of it. We just need that little bit of wire, I think, to make the controller block. Oh, we're going to need to make the dust. UV mixer, which is what I kind of assumed. So we don't have a UV mixer anywhere. We can make UV mixers. I've actually done a few of them already. Actually, what I'll do is I'll upgrade this. And that way we don't have to worry about building a whole new machine. So all I've got to do is replace these hatches and things. I'm going to need a couple more of these hatches, which I already have. All right, let's do that. Is that powered up? It is. All right, let's encode this recipe. Dust, take that out. It's going to need oxygen, which is interesting. I'm going to need to create dust forms of all of those. That doesn't seem like the right amount. No, because it's 8 buckets. Encode that recipe. Take this over here. I think this can handle that because it does have a hatch as well. So that should work. Let's try and craft that. Pretty sure I'm missing a few of those. Yeah, so I don't have ways of making those dusts, but that's just a matter of encoding those recipes and putting them into a macerator. All right, let's see if we can make some of that dust. Yep, that worked. And then the other one, I'm not expecting this one to be a problem. Yep, that was easy. Make some of that, I guess. Okay, that worked. So I should be able to make that other ingot, but I haven't put it in place yet. All right, let's go do that. So how are my titanium coils going? Almost done. Pop this into here. So in the meantime, I did encode and do the research for those UV components. So the UV sensor and the UV emitter. I can't make them yet though, because they require gravistars, which I didn't have access to. So a gravistar is like an upgraded nether star, but it requires neutronium. So I can actually encode this now. So I guess I can make them, which means I can build the circuit assembler. Ooh, okay. One of the things that's always very slow is circuits. Like making circuits just takes forever, it seems, because you always need so many of them. Aha, there we go. Grab all of those. Ditch that. Oops, ditch that. Everything's happy. So let's make some of that ruthenium. I always forget the name of this thing. Let's make one of those. It should have already started because it has that. So what's gone wrong? Oh, wait a second. It doesn't have a way of inserting the neon. I need to take it out of that recipe because I'm set it up to be automatically there. Oh, geez. Okay. Do that. I'll cancel that craft and do it again. All right, it's doing something. I haven't got a way of cooling that ingot. Let's put it over here. What's going on here? Oh, no, we're out of helium, aren't we? No? Wait, what's going on? Has this got... Oh. Oh, dear. Okay, that's a problem. This is full. Extraction lower priority first. Let's do that. Make sure it pulls this out first. I have some fluid storage problems, it seems. I did notice I had an overabundance of sulfuric acid for some reason. Has that been fixed yet? No. And it's generating more. Why is it generating more sulfuric acid? Where's it even coming from? Oh, hang on. I think I know what's going wrong. Anyway, you guys didn't need to worry about that. I need to fix this little problem with fluid storage and the fact that I've got massive amounts of sulfuric acid for some reason. Actually, I've got a better idea. Helium is the problem. It can't extract the helium from over there. Why don't we just put a helium tank like here? Let's get one of the super tank 3s. Pop that there, I guess. Storage bus. Set this to be helium. Priority insert, and then allow it to put from the back. There we go. So I think that's probably going to fix my problem. And over here, this is going to clear. It's getting through those pretty quickly. So the problem was, basically, I've just got too much helium. And those vacuum freezers, they take liquid helium and they convert it back into helium, and it didn't have anywhere to put it because my fluid storage is a bit like just full, apparently. And normally this would consume it, but there was enough liquid helium to go around that it didn't need to do that. By adding this extra overflow tank, I guess, we can still store more helium. Cool. And that thing did make. That's really good English. Oh, chemical builder. I forgot about that. Okay, anyway, stay focused. The Rotary Hearth Furnace, made with Naquita springs, ZPM field generators, electric blast furnace, ruthenium, trinium, americium, neutronate wire, and dense Naquita alloy plate. I'm pretty sure we don't have those dense plates, but I think we've got everything else. So let's get that encoded, because I want to build one of them things before this episode is out. Those 3 are the things we don't have. So that's only a 4 times wire, so we should be okay there. I don't think we need much of that. Just in the wire mill like that. Done. And then the dense Naquita alloy plates. Dense Naquita. I think that's just code for its double plate. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, that's new. I have not had to make dense plates before. 9 times. Okay. Oh, it's not really a big deal. I'm just going to have to add another bus because it's on a different program circuit. An extended pattern provider. Put that on there. Program circuit 9. Put that into there and do that. And I should be able to request one of those. Nice. Okay. So I just need to place that other thing in the wire mill. Put that in there. And we should be able to request a Rotary Hearth Furnace. Nice. Let's get that started. So what are we going to need for this sucker? Because it's a big one. It's got 96 coil blocks. All right. I think I made a note here on my piece of paper. Sometimes it's just easier. Oh, there we go. Found it. All right. So sometimes it's just easier to get a notebook out or something and just take some notes. Actually, I don't need to be standing here to do it, do I? I'm going to be over here. Just make a chest and put all the ingredients into it. Let's grab a chest. That's not how you spell chest. Let's grab a chest. All right. So the first thing is those robust them things. That's at least 88. We're going to need 382 of the high temperature smelting casings. So that's 5 times 64, 320. So that's not quite enough. That's 384, I think. We're going to need some heat vents. A stack of those is fine. I only need 20. Then we need 72 tungsten steel pipe casings. Okay, we don't have many of those. So let's make 72 of those. I mean, tungsten steel is pretty easy. I don't think that'll take very long. Then we need the coil blocks. So 96 cupronickel coil blocks is what it's saying there, but I'll come back to the coils. Let's look at the extreme engine intake casings. We need 40 of those. So let's make another 14. Tungsten steel firebox casings. Do we have those? No. Okay, so that's the first thing that we've run into that we don't have. Well, I'm going to have to go off and encode that. I find that the encoding stuff doesn't work very well with the remote terminal. That's why I always come back here. Firebox casing. There we go. Too easy. And then we need 132 Naquita alloy frames. Apparently we've got everything to do that. Get that started. Firebox casing, 28 is exactly how many we need. The extreme thingies, whatever they were, got them. Now we're just waiting on those Naquita alloy frames and the block itself. But we need to figure out this coil situation. So what coils are we going to make? We have 128 of the cupronickel, so we could just put them straight in. But that's not going to allow us to smelt much worthwhile. Ideally, it would be a fairly advanced one, probably trinium or the tritanium. But that is, I don't want to do 96 tritanium coil blocks. Trinium ones, we've already got 68 of them. So we only need to make another, 28? That's not a big deal. Let's do that. Let's have a look at the shape of this sucker. So this is a bit of a monster. Now, I am actually going to build this by hand. I'm not going to use the terminal because I love a challenge. And that looks like a lot of fun. That's what this game's about, building stuff, right? I am pretty sure that's the footprint of it. We'll see when it comes to building it. And as it turns out, I actually want to build two. I will build the second one after this one offline sometime. We'll see how this goes. I'll come back once I've got these last two parts. Okay, I am a colossal idiot, and I'm sure everyone watching this up until this point has been screaming at their screen. I've got 42 tritium coil blocks on my hotbar from when I just upgraded that blast furnace. Like an absolute peanut. I've got them all already. I didn't need to make those extra ones. Rotary Hearth Furnace is finished. So I think that means I've got all the ingredients I need. So it's basically just a square with those 3 blocks cut out on each corner for 2 layers. Well, let's get to it. Excellent. And then we'll just cut out the corners. All right. It's already looking huge. What's next? Runs of 5 that connect in the corners. Those 5. Cool. Next up, we've got some Naquita alloy frames. Okay, next, a whole bunch of these different tungsten steel blocks in this sort of circular cross shape. Place in these engine casings. Fill that in with these machine casings. Some more of these pipe casings, and then fill in those. Excellent. So the pipes keep going up, and then they're surrounded by these. And then we go all the way around with these guys. Cool. So now we need rinse and repeat. Keep going with the pipes. Now we need some coils. Okay, another layer like that. All right, about halfway there. It's basically the same thing again, isn't it? We just keep making the same shape. Cool, almost there. Okay, I seem to have made a mistake. That was bound to happen. I've run out of these. Okay, there's an extra block that's not there. That's the problem. I need to that one, that one, that one, and that one. And that one. Hopefully that will give me just enough blocks. Excellent. So that just leaves us with the top layer now. Finish up with some pipes. Put in a muffler hatch. And then we just fill this in with these robust tungsten steel casings. That's not symmetrical. What have I done wrong? Okay, this is where I run into a small problem. I've run out of blocks and I don't know why. Probably the hatches and things. And is that it? Invalid structure, but there's no energy hatches or anything like that. Auto maintenance hatch here. And let's see how that goes. No, it did not like that. Time to start figuring out if I left any parts out. This is going to be a bit of a challenge. Let's Probably something simple. I may yet regret that decision to build this by hand, but we shall see. Why do I have so many tungsten steel firebox casings left? That's a problem. I definitely didn't use 28. Oh, okay, I see the problem. These ones here. These all need to be these guys. All right, I'll fix that now. Next layer up as well. That makes sense. And now is the moment of truth. Hey, it's done it. Awesome. So what are we going to make first? Oh, actually, hang on. I haven't put a parallel control hatch on this yet. Right, let's pop this in. Yep, that's happy. Crank it right up. Let's get an idea of the scale of this thing. It just towers over those other ones, doesn't it? What a monster. Okay, well, as you can see, I have configured this, but also upgraded it. So first of all, what I've done is I've set up the extended pattern provider here, input hatch, output buses, etc. This has all the recipes that was in the quad furnace that was over here, which I have decommissioned, as you can see. It's completely gone. These are spoilers for next episode, so just ignore that. I decided to bite the bullet and upgrade this to tritanium coils because there was some things that was doing that we couldn't do unless we had tritanium coils. It wasn't as big a deal as I thought because I had plenty of tritanium. 1,220 buckets, so that's fine. I was worried over nothing really. I think because it was sort of scarce a little while ago, I wasn't keen to upgrade this to tritanium, given there's 96 blocks. But that quad furnace over there actually had 42 of them already, so that wasn't so bad. But anyway, there she is in all her glory, and look at that. I think that's probably a good place to call it. Well, we achieved a lot this episode. Got the Fusion Reactor Mk3, we got that Neutronium, and we got the Rotary Hearth Furnace. So I'm pretty happy. Those are 3 things I've been trying to do for quite a few episodes now. From here on, it's really finishing UV, there's not much left, and then exploring UHV and everything that has to offer. I feel like we're going to start work on some of the Stargate components very soon. So we are nearing the end of this series. But there's still a few episodes to go, so we'll see how that pans out. And who knows, we could end up hitting another roadblock or something along the way. It's Star Technology after all. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.